We're ready to go for Saturday. There are 5 games on. Let's preview them from four, that's the word, for fantasy basketball alongside Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and if all it takes to win Australian TikTok Video of the Year is the Fitzroy Garage Party, well, I don't know, maybe we need to have a few more discussions. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok actually at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. You know what to do. You double bang it, you thumb it up, and you leave your comments down below. That is where we're at. Also, LockedOnDaily.com. That is where our newsletters live. Go and subscribe and check them out. We're talking about Saturday's games here. We've already had one of Friday's games done and dusted, the Knicks and the Hornets, and we've had a few little injury reports roll in for some games for Saturday, but more importantly for the ones on whatever day it was on Friday. We're going to try and cover some of this stuff off here as we get through it, and we'll just might as well just start off by talking about some of these games for Saturday. There are 5 of them. Now, we don't have quite as early a start as we did. In fact, I think the first game is a 6 p.m. Eastern game, unlike the midday Eastern game that we had here. We've got a 6 p.m. Eastern game, which is the Hawks and the Hornets, who both actually do play early on Friday as well. So let's just get in and talk about that game. Like I said, both of those teams play on Friday, although the Hornets game has finished already. They both finish off the week with a game on Saturday, and both have 4 games in week 7. Reminder, again, if you play on Yahoo, you may not be aware of this. You may have been living under a rock and not listening to this show ever, but that's okay. If you're here for the first time, I do welcome you in. Week 7 in Yahoo is a 14-day matchup because they screwed it up. No other reason for it. They made a mistake and they did not correct it, and you are now stuck with a 14-day matchup in week 7. Week 8 is a 7-day matchup on Yahoo, or game week 8 is a 7-day matchup that has each team playing 2 games, and week 7 is a 14-day matchup which has teams playing 5 or 6 games. So be aware of that. Yes, I know there is going to be the outrage, but I've been pre-preparing for this for 12 weeks, 15, I don't know, as soon as I found out about it. Get ready, it's coming. Anyway, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday for Atlanta, and Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday for Charlotte. I'm going to put DeAndre Hunter on the list as questionable because it's a back-to-back. He's been dealing with these knee problems. He's playing on Friday, so I would suggest that there is a chance that he does not play on Saturday. Trae Young, I'll just also put on the injury report. He is fine. He is playing in the game on Friday, but with his Achilles issue and the fact that they got fined by the league, I wouldn't be surprised if he appears on the injury report. The Charlotte Hornets will be without Mark Williams, be without Big Dick Nick Richards. Miles Bridges will be out. Daquan Jeffries will be out. I just don't know about the 2 guards, which is a really key thing that I wish I did know. LaMelo Ball and Trey Mann both sat out on Friday, and I don't know if they play on Saturday. I would suggest that Mann probably doesn't. I think Ball probably does, but I also don't know. If you did add Vasa Micic, which I did, I had people try and correct me on my pronunciation of Micic. I think I've done this in the past and someone's corrected me the other direction, saying it's Micic because there's no diacritical mark, no accent over the top of the first C. I think it's Micic? Micic? I hope that's correct, all my Balkan friends who are listening to this. Micic. Vasilije Micic. I hope that is correct. Because I feel like I'm just losing my track on how I should be pronouncing that one. Anyway, because Micic becomes awesome. Awesome. He becomes pretty good. I added him in a bunch of different spots just in case the LaMelo Ball / Trey Mann things are longer term. And if they aren't, then I move on. And then Man, obviously, if Man plays and Ball doesn't, then Man's the guy that gets that little boost. And then in those deeper leagues, in fact, not only deeper leagues, we're talking about the double platinum Onyx titanium leagues. KJ Simpson is going to have those backup point guard minutes. But, of course, he is currently the 4th string point guard. And they are down a lot. They're playing 4th string centers at the moment. Let's talk about that, because Tijan Salam was pretty good for the Hornets in their game on Friday, and that is 2 solid games in a row for Salan. He had 14 and 8, but his shooting numbers are absolutely horrific. And you can stream Salan in, absolutely, but the shooting numbers are poor, and I don't think there's really much long-term value in that. Also, there's a level of inconsistency with what Salan does. His last 2 games, solid. 14 and 8 with 4 threes, 17 and 4 with 3 threes. He had 3 steals in one of those games. He shot actually 40% in both those games from 3. In fact, he's shooting from 3 over the last 6 games is outrageous. I didn't realize how good it was. Let's have a look. 6, 8. Wow, holy crap. What? 25 threes in the last 6 games he has attempted 25 threes, and he is 7, 9, 10, 11. 11 of 25 from 3 over that time frame. That's crazy. Wow. Is that even a correct number? 17, 19, 22, 24, yeah, 25 threes attempted. 2, 4, 7, 11. 11 of 20. Yeah, that's pretty good. He's been shooting the ball really well. 2s, he can't really hit. Anyway, all that's to say is the start before that, the last 2 games, he started, played 30 minutes, had 1 point. So it is a little, as I hit the mic, it is a little hit or miss for what Salan is able to do, but we're watching it to see what he can provide. But of course, when Richards and Williams and Bridges all return, he is going to not play these minutes, and it's not going to matter for most of us. Who are we streaming in? Well, I do have DeAndre Hunter as a possible stream there, but I just don't know that he plays. There is a possibility that he doesn't play, and if he is out there, that would boost Zachary Ricochet as an option. And then you can go with Salan. I also think Musa Diabate, or of course Vasimicic or KJ Simpson for those deeper leagues. There's just a lot of possibilities here on this Charlotte team of guys who could be in and out. And the Salan versus Diabate thing is like, do you want someone who scores and shoots threes, or do you want a rebound defensive stat guy? And that's really the decision you make between those 2 players. And long term, neither of them are going to be there and doing the stuff that you want, but that's okay as well. The next game we look at is the Detroit Pistons and the Philadelphia 76ers. Detroit is on a back-to-back in this one. Schedule-wise, this is the end for both of these teams this week, and then Philadelphia is Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and Detroit is Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday. Embiid is going to be out on this one for Philadelphia, but we did get the good news that Paul George is practicing, and he is questionable officially. If you're practicing and questionable, there's a fairly good chance that George is going to play here. Caleb Martin, I've got as questionable. Now, he is officially questionable now. He was just sort of, I guess, questionable there, so he is questionable. And then the good news is for Detroit is that Cade Cunningham and Tobias Harris. Now, I don't know this at this point because they're both questionable for the game on Friday, but the fact that they're questionable on Friday means to me if they miss on Friday, they will play on Saturday. But then the risk is, of course, that if they do play on Friday, that maybe they have to sit the game on Saturday. So we just need to watch for both Toby Harris and Cade Cunningham. Jared McCain's the one to me to watch on the Sixers side of things, because obviously he comes out hot and he fills the role, the archetype, but also, this hasn't been mentioned, a brand new Filipino legend. He's the new Filipino legend. He takes over from the other guys at this point. He's the new guy. Dancing legend, TikTok legend, Jared McCain. He is that archetype that comes in, plays big minutes, shoots the lights out, and everyone gets absolutely frothed up about it. And he was great. Like, he had 20 points in a game for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive games. He scored 20, which is an unbelievable effort. He shot the ball incredibly well. The last 2 games, he's had 18 points on 20% and 15 points on 32%. And when your other stats lack, which they do, he has had 5 assists combined in the last 2 games with 1 steal and 0 blocks. That's where you can run into some trouble. He has fallen off that last little period of time, but the thing I just want to watch with him is, where does the usage fall? Because it's been obviously very good, but there's been no George or Embiid for periods of time. But it's, what else are you doing? How often are you actually touching the ball? Because he's still only averaging 3.4 assists over the last 5 games in 37 minutes. And that means you need 27 usage. It means you need 48% shooting and 20 points a game to be relevant for most leagues. In terms of streaming, Unfortunately, Kelly Oubre probably is a stream. Now, I don't like that value long term, and if George returns, he's probably not going to be there as a good option, but we can look at that. And then Isaiah Stewart is the other one to look at on Detroit. He was absolutely putrid in their last game on Friday. I don't know what he's going to do, and we need to watch the Stewart-Duran minute combination, but Isaiah is at least an option there. And Asar Thompson would be someone we can take a look at, and Marcus Sasser if Cade and Tobias Harris are both out, which, again, at this point, we just do not know. We've got more games, the 3 more games to talk about for Saturday, and we will do that, of course. But first of all, today's episode is brought to you by Skylight Frames. Yes, Skylight Frames. You know that this is the old, it's the gift-giving season, and sometimes there are people in your life that are just hard to buy things for. A, maybe they've got everything. B, maybe they're fussy. C, just because maybe you don't have an ability to think all that clearly on it, and that's okay as well. That's why I'm giving you the easy options. Skylight Frames is here. What is Skylight Frames, or what are Skylight Frames, actually? To do better in terms of using English, Skylight Frame is a digital photo frame with a touchscreen, and it can be 2 things. You can pop it up against the wall, you can put it on a stand, you can get a 10-inch size, you can get a 15-inch size. I've got my one downstairs, and you can just have a link that you send out to friends and family, and they can either download an app, and then they can put their photos in there, and bang, they pop up on your screen, or there's an email address that they can send it to as well, which doesn't require registration from them. It takes you 60 seconds to set up the frame. There's a touchscreen feature to swipe through photos on there. You can double tap and hit the like button on that as well, and that is just a great gift for people who do treasure photos and memories along that line. So, you know what to do with this. Well, I've got an offer for you actually as well. A special limited time offer for all of you legends out here. You get $20 off your purchase of a Skylight Frame when you go to skylightframe.com/NBA. That is skylightframe.com/NBA. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/NBA. Maybe I'll send out my invite link on that, and you guys can send photos through to my frame. I'm sure that'd go really well, and that's exactly what Skylight Frame is about. Great gift givings for thoughtful people. $20 off. Skylightframe.com/NBA. All right. Let's get into the next game up on the slate. What is it? Wizards and Bucks. Okay. We want to know a little bit more about injury statuses in this game. And we just got an update from Glenn Rivers saying that Chris Middleton will remain out on Saturday. Of course. Yep, no worries. And he hopes that Middleton will be available soon. Don't we all, Glenn? Don't we all? So both teams obviously play Saturday, but that's it for them for the week. And then it's Tuesday, Thursday for Washington next week with a weekend back-to-back. And Milwaukee is Tuesday, Wednesday with a Friday, Sunday combo. I don't believe that Kyle Kuzma is going to play in this game. He has that rib sprain, and I'm pretty sure that he's going to miss a period of time here. Kuzma, so I don't think... Did we actually get an official update on Kuz? I don't think that we did, but regardless, he's just not going to play. I'm really confident in that. Chris Middleton is out, and Giannis is still questionable, but he did go through practice. He missed that game before Thanksgiving. Remember also, Thanksgiving Eve games are weird. There's weird stuff all over the place. There are weird injuries. There are weird performances. There are weird... it's a great opportunity for teams with players who are carrying nagging injuries to get a couple of extra days of rest to get that injury right. So a lot of the stuff that happened on Wednesday doesn't necessarily translate across. And Giannis missing that game, I think that he'll be okay. Obviously, he's got an ongoing knee problem, which leads to concerns. There we go. We did get the official update on Kuzma. He is not expected to play on the 2-game road trip. Yep, cool. Easy. All right. So that's what we thought. But Giannis is... missed that game before Thanksgiving. I think he'll be okay here, at least if not this one, he'll be back on Tuesday. Tyler Smith also is questionable. He's missed the last game. He's just never going to play under Doc Rivers. We know that. Any rookies just do not get playing time. That is the Doc Rivers manifesto. What are we watching in Washington? Bilal Coulibaly has been... Let's be completely frank, really bad. He started out the season red hot. He couldn't miss a single shot at the rim, which I think for the first week he didn't at all miss a single shot at the rim. But Bilal has just completely fallen off. So what we want to see, there are 2 things here with Bilal. Minutes, I'm very confident in there. They're going to stick. But what has been a pattern, and I don't know how much it's going to hold, but if Bilal's shots don't go in, he just doesn't take them. I think that's been a real pattern. His highest shot games, 16 field goal attempts, 56%. 14 field goal attempts, 79%. 12 field goal attempts, 67%. 11 field goal attempts, 82%. Yep, there is 4 highest field goal attempt games. Now, there was another... Actually, that's not true. There was a 12 one there where he shot 42. But then every other game, when they start to not fall, he starts to not take them. And his last 4 games, 22%, 44%, 27%, 17%. He's hit double digits once in the last 4 games and double digits twice in the last 7 games. He's still getting steals. He's getting some blocks in there, but the production has fallen off for Bilal a lot. So I want to see what the usage is for him because it has been very much down. He has not hit 20% usage since the 17th of November. And that shooting being off is causing the fantasy value to not be there. I don't think that he is a drop, but I also think that it could be coming. I think he could end up being that. On a more positive side, Brook Lopez is absolutely cooking at the moment. I do have some worries that Brook is going to be able to produce at this level as we move forward because there's just a lot happening with Brook, and he was on the sell high portion of the show the other day with some stuff that was just very, very high with his minutes way up, 34 minutes a night over the last 2 weeks, shooting 61% from the field, including 48% from 3. Does Glenn keep those minutes that high? He probably has to. And we just want to see what the shooting goes there with Brook. In terms of stream, guys, I do think Keyshawn George is worth looking at with Kuzma out at least 2 games. George started the second half in the last game and wasn't very good, but earlier in the year when Kuz was out with the groin issue, George was really solid. So I'm in on that. And then for the Bucks, I couldn't be less in on streaming in Gary Trent, but he's there. And you know what happens with Gary Trent. It could be 14 points with 3 threes. It could be 1 point with 11% shooting. That is what Gaz does. You get the occasional steal thrown in there. He's one of the least reliable players in the entirety of the National Basketball Association. The next game is the Golden State Warriors and the Phoenix Suns. Neither of these games are... Neither of his teams are on a back-to-back here. The Warriors and Suns both play Saturday, and then they both play 4 games the week after, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, into Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. I officially put Steph Curry as probable because the report was, after he missed on Wednesday, is that he will be fine for Saturday. Now, he is officially questionable on Saturday, and I am thinking that is realistically just because he sat out the game and the game before Thanksgiving, and the NBA maybe threatened to send an independent doctor around to see whether Steph was actually available to play, and making that determination and overruling teams' medical decisions and the team's autonomy to choose their own lineups. Maybe the NBA threatened to do that again, so they said, you better list him questionable again so that people actually believe there's an injury here, which we all know there's not because he's 36 years of age and he was resting in a game before the break, which makes complete sense to literally anybody with a brain. But that's okay. So they have put him as questionable, and I have absolutely zero concern that Steph plays. I think he's going to play without any worries at all. The one that we don't know about is Bradley Beal. Beal actually hurt himself at the end of that last game, and he was playing really well with an ankle sprain. Kevin Durant also hurt himself with an ankle sprain in that game, but I had Beal on the doubtful side of questionable, but the official report actually did just roll in, and he's probable. So I think we escaped really any damage. Also, Yusuf Nurkic just popped up on the injury report as probable as well. He's had plenty of ankle injuries this season. His minutes and production continue to be absolutely unreliable, but he is on that injury report. But probable is a likely scenario, meaning that they're going to play. For the Warriors, last game with Steph out, John Kuminga started and Trace Jackson-Davis moves to the bench. But Steve Kerr was basically saying, that's just for this game here, and we believe that Jackson-Davis will move back in to the lineup when Steph plays, and that will mean Kuminga moves to the bench, and that would mean that you do not need to be rostering John Kuminga. But, of course, we're always open to having our minds change, because when things change, that's what we have to do. And I was pretty interested in Kuminga in draft season, less so once I started to see the first preseason game. But I was like, someone's got to get more of this usage, and I thought it would be Kuminga, but apparently it's not. So I'm not that interested in holding him, but we watch it nonetheless. And then for the Suns, Bradley Beal, it's whether he plays and how he looks. I think he's looked pretty good most games that he's played this season. It's just been the ability to stay healthy. In terms of stream, guys, Lindy Waters is not a high upside stream, but what he is a consistent 3-point guy. You will probably get 1 to 2 threes, maybe 2 threes a game. You're getting like a steal and a block, not every single game, but often enough for it to matter. And Lindy Waters, he's the hall pass legend, but he's around in a lot of different spots, including in double onyx, platinum, diamond, titanium leagues. He is around. And look, his numbers over his last 6 games, he's averaging 1.7 threes, 1 steal, and 0.5 blocks. He's shooting really poorly in that time as well, just 31% from 3, and that leads to 34% overall. I'm not saying that he's a 12-team league rosterable player. He's not. But stream-wise, there's been a level of consistency in what Waters is doing in those specific categories. In the last 3 games, he's had steal, 0, and then steal, block. So like a chicken. Or maybe it's a turkey. Yeah, seasonal. And threes, he's hit 1, 2, and 3 in the last 3 games, which, again, is solid enough. So just don't write off Waters as a stream guy. And then for Phoenix, Royce O'Neal is probably that stream guy. You could throw Grayson Allen into that mix as well. But it looks like everyone is going to be healthy, available, and ready to rock and or roll. The final game of the day on Saturday is Dallas and Utah, and these are the 2 teams that play the back-to-back. So whatever we're talking about streaming-wise for these guys on Saturday, they're the 2 teams that play on Sunday as well. They're the only back-to-back team there. I mean, other teams play Sunday, but this is the only back-to-back grouping. So they both play that Saturday, Sunday, and then it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for Dallas, and Tuesday, Friday, Sunday for Utah. Dante Exum is out, but Luka Doncic could be returning. He practiced, so that's a good sign that he might be available. And then we've got Klay Thompson, who did not practice, and Daniel Gafford, who did practice. So this is a game that is very weird in terms of we just don't know who's going to be out, and there are a million different ways to go with this. Lauri Markkanen banged knees and sort of had to be helped to the locker room in the game on whatever it was, Monday, let's say, or Tuesday. And then he missed the game before Thanksgiving due to personal reasons. So the personal reason was that his partner had a baby. So he was out for that one. But there's still no reporting or understanding of whether he's going to be available for this game due to the birth of a child, or whether the knee is still a problem. I think that the knee is going to be a problem. So I'm putting him out here. I would say that given the fact that he's got a bung knee and that his partner just had a kid, I don't think Markkanen is going to be available for this one. But that could shock us at any point and he could play. There is definite possibilities in that. We just literally don't know. And then there's just a bunch of other ones which we need to know because Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, Drew Eubanks, and Kyle Filipowski all missed the last game. And that meant that we got guys like Svi Mykhailiuk and Micah Potter starting. But I don't think that Clarkson, Filipowski, Collins, and Eubanks are all going to be out here. Actually, Eubanks played the last game and was out in about 2 minutes due to an injury. So it's a tough one to figure out. So if Markkanen is out, right, I don't think that Filipowski will play next to Collins and Kessler. He could, but that's too big. I don't think that'll happen. But that would mean that Filipowski gets the backup run at the 4 and the 5, or maybe he even starts over John Collins. Who knows? If Clarkson's available, he's going to get a lot more run because of the absence of Markkanen. You need someone who takes shots. But there's just a lot of uncertainty there. It's so much. On the Mavs side of things, I do want to watch Quentin Grimes, who's been playing really well. But if Klay and Luka both play, he's just not going to play enough. The other guy that's been absolutely putting up huge numbers, pulling them completely out of his ass, has been Spencer Dinwiddie. And he would be streamable if Luka is out because of the way they've been using. Luka and Klay are out, sorry. But Grimes is a little bit more secure there. And then on the Jazz side, this Jazz team is almost impossible to figure out what happens. The Colin Sexton experience has been really frustrating. I had him initially high in draft season. I was told that, hey, they're probably not going to lean into Sexton and they're going to move on from him. So I went, okay, let's pull him back down a little bit. And that happened. He was playing like 24 minutes a night and they were prioritizing the most random blokes over him. And then guys have gotten hurt and he's playing 35 minutes a night and he's having to do everything and the numbers are way up. I would be trying to sell high on Colin Sexton as much as I could. But for the time being, you're going to probably get good numbers. You're probably going to get good numbers. In terms of stream guys, Naji Marshall, I believe, and I can easily check this, and I will as I just continue to say believe, that Naji Marshall scored 20 points in 3 or 4 consecutive games, which is not what Naji Marshall's game is. Normally he's a defensive player who is a passing connector, who's an okay three-point shooter, but he has scored 20 points in 4 consecutive games. What on earth? 26 points with 3 threes, 1 rebound. 20 points with 3 threes, 22 with 2 threes, and 24 with 2 threes. He has shot the absolute lights out, 73, 50, 75, and 59. So to say that it's not going to continue would be 100% accurate. What you want to know is what the role is like. And if Luka and Klay are both out, then Naji does become very useful. But what he has done has absolutely zero ability to stick. He has had 1 assist per game in those 4 games, and he has had 1 total steal and block combined. So it's all on the back of insane shooting that has no way of holding. So what? Yes, Naji Marshall's numbers recently have been unbelievable. Like he has been dominating. 60% shooting, 22 points a game. Great. And absolutely nothing else. So don't get over your skis there. The other one to watch in Utah is going to be Brice Sensabaugh, because this man can score. He can't do much else. And with potential Clarkson, Filipowski, Market, and Collins absences, he's going to be called on, even if he does come off the bench, which he probably will. I wouldn't be investing heavily into Sensabaugh, but it's at least a deeper league guy to look at, like ahead of a Mahai, I think, and ahead of a ESPN legend, John Juzang. We're going to come back and talk streams of the day in a sec, but today's episode is brought to you, of course, by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Did you tackle all the NFL action yesterday with FanDuel watching on Thanksgiving? I hope you did, because right now, as you know, a new customer on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything that you need to place live bets on the NFL, and it's all in one place. You can see the live stats where you place the bets. You can see the live play-by-play where you place the bet. So when you open up the FanDuel Sportsbook app, everything you need is there to take advantage of your hunches when you're live betting the NFL. So go to FanDuel.com today and get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That is FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. There's only the 5 games on Saturday, so I've taken it a little bit slower in today's show just to try and give you a little bit more depth and detail into this stuff, and I hope it's been appreciated. Let's take a look at some of the schedule stuff. Like I said, the back-to-backs are just Dallas and Utah, and there's a ton of unknowns. Clay, Luka, Gafford, Markkanen, Collins, Clarkson, Filipowski. I just don't know who's going to play. So some of them might play on Saturday, some of them might not play Sunday. It might be all over the place. So the streams that you have, it does become difficult. Like Naji Marshall's at least going to be in the rotation every game. Derek Lively, if he's on your wire, he's going to be playing every game. The guys I'd like in Utah are Filipowski's and a Clarkson, but I don't know. And Sensabaugh might play 5 minutes in one game if everyone returns. It's just a really, really tough spot to be able to figure out how that rotation goes. So that's the back-to-backs. In terms of chunks, Saturday through to Wednesday, which players can we look at that have 3 games in that time frame? DeAndre Hunter would be on this list, except I don't know that he plays on Saturday on the back-to-back, so that's why I haven't included him on that in that grouping. I've got John Isaac there because he is playing in back-to-backs, and you're getting really good defensive stats there. You're going to give some bad offensive stuff, so it's not going to be for everybody. But I do believe he should be on somebody's roster in a 12-team league, especially in this little short-term period. I think Goga Badadze is worth a look. I don't know that they persist with that starting group of Wendell and Goga together, but they did last game. It worked okay. We'll see if that's something they keep going with. Timothy John McConnell. I don't think that Nembhard and Neesmith will return over the next 5 days, although there is a possibility of that. But McConnell just gives you those nice assists and steal numbers the majority of the time. Isaiah Stewart's there. Chris Dunn is there. And Kelly Oubre is there, of course. Dunn and Oubre will lose some appeal if Norman Powell and George, respectively, return and have an impact on their playing time. But there's some teams and some players that you can consider with that little chunky bit of the schedule. There's nobody in the next 7 days that plays 5 games, and there's nobody in the next 7 days that plays 2 games. So I didn't forget the 5s and 2s. There's just nobody on the 5s and 2s list. Let's look at streaming now, the daily streaming options, and we start by looking at the stream of the day. And again, some of this is going to change depending on absences. And the guy we want to consider is Vasa Micic, because if Ball and Mann are out, well, if Ball is out and Mann is in, Mann's top. If Ball and Mann are out, then we look at Micic there. Who would be a really solid option to take a look at. Otherwise, I am going with Musa Diabate. For 12 teams, I'm going with Keyshawn George, with Kyle Kuzma actually out. 14 teams, we're going with Tijan Salah. And for 16 teams and deeper, I'm going for Lindy Waters III, the Hall Pass legend. And then Yahoo points and ESPN points, it is still Musa Diabate, who projects well. You could put Malcolm Brogdon in there. You could put Vasa Micic in there as well. There are numerous options. Naji Marshall might even pop up if we get Luka ruled out. But of course, at this point, we don't know that. Let's go through just a bunch of other streamable type of players. For 10-team guys, I think all of these, and they're widely available, a lot of these players, they're all going to have some value for you on Saturday. Diabate, Keyshawn George, Salan, Waters, Royce O'Neal, and Cody Martin, who's a lower upside play, Cody Martin, but there's enough floor value in what he does. In terms of the next grouping, which is 12-teamers, we go Carrington, Gershon Yabusele with Joel Embiid out, Andre Drummond with Joel Embiid out, Grayson Allen, Gary Trent Jr., and Josh Green. If we go to deeper leagues, it's Brice Sensabaugh there. There's Andre Jackson there. You could throw Micah Potter if a bunch of players get out again. Corey Kispert, Dillon Wright, and I've got Vasa Micic on that list just in case, because if Ball and Man both play, Micic has no value. But if one of them's out, he's got deep league value, and if both of them are out, he has top of the list value, and I just don't know. So I just wanted to make sure, again, that Micic's name was on the list. So again, you are aware, even though I've said it plenty of times, and I will keep saying it. For Yahoo Points Leagues, we're going to have Musa Diabate up there, Malcolm Brogdon, Keyshawn George, Tijan Salan, and Zachary Ricochet, as well as Isaiah Stewart. And then the final one is going to be your ESPN Points League streaming options. It's a pretty similar list. It's Diabate, Brogdon, George, Lindy Waters, Isaiah Stewart, and old mate Carlton Bub Carrington. And that is a look ahead to Saturday with 5 games on. Good luck to you guys with Friday. Good luck to you guys with Saturday. Hit the thumb up on this video. Hope your Thanksgiving was useful, and hope you came out of it feeling positive and feeling good, and you know, just again focusing on doing the good thing and knowing that you've done the good thing. Let's all keep that positive vibe going. We've given thanks to others. Let's give thanks to ourselves as well. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.